In remembrance of a great man that passed away just recently, a great sports fan of Massena, just a fellow that, one of those guys you could never say anything bad about. And that would be Mr. Jim George. So we could just have a moment of silence, please. Thank you. At this time, if you would silence all electronic devices, I'll greatly appreciate it. I'd like to call to order the November 5th, 2014 Village Board meeting. Ms. Wilson?
I'm here.
Mr. Alfeld? Mr. Carville? Yeah. Mr. Shades? Yep. And Chair's here. Closing under 1, open under 2, reports for the committees. Code enforcement?
We did just have a meeting talking about the types of reports to share with the board, some of the ongoing issues that the code enforcement officers are addressing. Anything else other than that, Francis?
No, thank you. Nope, okay.
Good job.
Economic development.
And we have Tom Sullivan here. Perhaps we can have a... Would you mind giving us an
Would you
update
like
on
to
everything magical?
Would you like to enlighten us on what's going on with the code, or no, code
enforcement?
economic development? Might go hand in hand.
We had our pre-construction meeting on the rail spur today. As we reported out at our board meeting, last month's board meeting for BDC, we did have the Army Corps of Engineers has indicated that they think there may be a wetland that they want to look at. And the wetland actually is man-made. It's drainage that was behind Kern Renewable for their paved area that they created a little collection pond for. There's some question whether there's even jurisdiction for the Army Corps on it. So a report has been sent to them as of today for them to look at that. Best case scenario, they'll rule on it within a couple weeks, and construction will begin on that with an anticipated completion by the end of the year.
Who's conducting that? The report going to the...
It was done by River Edge, Lee Harper. Okay. Conducted that with input from Erman Anthony, our engineer on the project, and Tom Taylor, who is Kern Renewables engineer. Worst case scenario is that the completion will be probably the end of April, just strictly because of weather.
Right.
But the CSX portion of the project, installing the switch, that'll be done probably by midweek next week.
So that's in tandem with what they're doing right now with the...
Yes, they're doing their switching their main line and their sidetrack, and but as part of the agreement, they're installing that switch. That will be installed, and the road bed for the rail spur will be completed on either side of that 400 feet of space, so that once we get the clear delineation, then that will be addressed.
Excellent.
So, best case scenario by the end of, with weather, by the end of December. Worst case by the end of April.
Perfect. Good to hear. I guess the one advantage is right now that Kern Renewable is essentially sold out, so they're making it, going as fast as they can make it. So, but it's in progress. Main Street grant, you've seen a couple of the places in the Main Street now that have done Hudson's, Studio 162. I think they look fantastic. They come out great.
I hear so many good things about it.
Great additions to to our Main Street. Delmar and Mystic Rays should be being completed within probably the next week and a half. We're working on trying to get an extension for another one of the projects and trying to see if we can't get another one into the grant. The grant expires in December. However, my contact at Office of Community Renewal Housing has been cooperative in trying to help us get it a little further down the road if we can. So
good.
So some
positive things are taking place.
Excellent.
And the, just the community website is progressing. So we're probably about 50% towards the end game. We had a reveal mood board, kind of what the site will look like,
Right.
the general appearance this past week, and it's gonna be such a, people are gonna love it. It's a
Great.
refreshing change, so,
Good stuff.
It'll be much more user-friendly.
yeah. Ken, do you have anything?
Anything for economic and,
No, there's something you want me to,
closing under economic development, fire committee?
Met earlier with the chiefs and no action or anything.
Personnel,
Haven't met.
police,
We got an action item D there for later on.
rec,
Well, we haven't met, we'll be meeting next Tuesday.
okay, perfect. Street,
Be under old business.
water, sewer.
Nothing to report.
Okay, closing under 2, open under 3, initial public comment period. Before we do that, there's some congratulatories that I'd like to extend. First of all, the boys and girls soccer did exceptional this
Yeah.
past week, capturing their respective championship quests. Also, to Chief Courier, soon to be Mayor Courier, I want to congratulate you. You ran a great campaign. It was, like you said in the paper, it was kind of stressful at times and such, but I congratulate you on a job well done, and I know the village is in good hands and moving forward. Mr. LeBeer, congratulations to you as well, sir. You're joining a good team here, and we can see nothing but good happen. Tim, to you, you've been exceptional here. You've been a voice of reason when I needed it the most, there's no question. But I know you'll continue to help out and lead the group, as well as the other 2 remaining trustees, Francis and Herb. Tricia, to you, job well done.
Thank you.
You served this community for 8 years. You're an exceptional person. I mean, what can you say about Tricia? But thank
Well, let's
you.
spend a few minutes.
Well, we could. Everybody wants to go home to dinner. But thank you, and it's been an honor to work with you as well.
And back to you, Mayor, for your service.
Thank you. So, with that, I'll open it up to questions from the floor. Obviously, village business, 5 minutes. And with that, any hands? 1, 2, 3. Seeing no hands.
We got one in the back?
Oh, yes, Frenchie.
I think you should put a battery in your phone.
This is a town building, Frenchie. It belongs to the town, not the village.
We gotta talk to the town
Yeah,
about that.
it's not in our budget. Okay, closing under 3, open under 4, old business. Under 8, proposed resolution to accept an offer of street dedication portion of Massena Street and establish public hearing to consider accepting the conveyance of the property for 5:30, November 18th, 2015. I'll open it up to the street committee persons.
You wanna talk about this a little bit?
Sure.
So,
Yep. Medina Street is developed, by a developer, by a local private developer. It's located off of Lawrence Avenue. The first 100 feet was previously developed. Then this year, the second 100 feet was paved and curbing was installed on that street. It's still considered private, and hence Billy Helmer wishes to dedicate that over to the village, for the village to maintain that street, that being plowing, although we do plow it now, and also maintain it, so patching it or whatever from here going forward. If we accept dedication, that's what the village would be doing. So, again, it's all curbed. It's got sub-drainage that was installed in the roadway now, and it's been paved. The second 100 feet's been paved. The initial 100 feet of it is not paved, but I did a calculation. I think it'd be probably about $1,500 worth of materials, and when we do Lawrence Avenue, where you have stones punching up through the subgrade and punching up through the asphalt, when that happens, I think we can absorb the 100 feet if we need to, if we wanna pave the rest of it, we can do it.
Then it's the north side of Lawrence towards Marie, right, where it's,
It would be
bumpy, I guess.
Yes, I'm sorry, north side of Lawrence, that's correct, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I talked to one of the planning board members, this week. The problem I see with that street is it's supposed to have a cul-de-sac on the end of it. And by just going and doing a piece here, a piece there, a piece here down through, I'd rather see the street completely paved, completely curved, take over the whole thing and be done with it. Because if we remember correctly, a few years back, the developer that did Marie Street supposedly left a bond to pave Marie Street when it was needed to be paved. But after they built all the houses from Lawrence Avenue out to the dead end of Marie, the village had to go back in and pave it because the developer hadn't paved it. And everybody on that street had to pay so many dollars per road frontage to have their street paved and put curbing on it, because it wasn't done before the street was dedicated. And I think here, by doing a 100-foot here, 100-foot there, 100-foot there, let's just get the thing done and take it all or take nothing of it. It's, this piecemeal stuff. The first section of the first 100 feet is, it's all cracked. I don't know if anybody's been up there and looked at it.
It was just up there today.
It's all cracked. I mean, it's not in good shape for something that's gonna be dedicated to the village. The village has to take over and take responsibility for it. And then the cul-de-sac area is still gravel. So, to me, I mean, to protect the taxpayers, I think it should be completely done, and then we take it over at one time when everything's completed.
Would there be any, go ahead.
The cul-de-sac area is not a part of the dedication. It goes to a certain point, and then I think the developer plans on retaining the area of the cul-de-sac. And when the economy turns around, I would suspect, I don't want to speak for Mr. Helmer, but I would suspect that right now he's got one duplex on the end of that road, but when the economy turns around and he has an opportunity to build additional houses, I think he would develop that cul-de-sac and then eventually dedicate that portion of it to the village as well, but that'd be up to the village.
Is that the true statement?
That's correct. I mean, we purchased property over 20 years ago. We put in all the utilities, the underground infrastructure's there. And we just did not complete the cul-de-sac. We were, times change, but we not only bought the property, we put about $15,000 into it with infrastructure, and to complete it in today's dollars, complete the cul-de-sac, which has 3 more lots on it, potential lots, would probably be $30,000 to $40,000. Now, anybody that knows what's going on and can appreciate the housing market, I'm not about to build any more houses at this time. Originally, we were hoping to do duplexes, and we got a variance for the first one, but then as things worked out, it was found there was a deed restriction limiting to single-family residents. So a duplex is what we have there now, and that's feasible and not something when you can get rental property that might work. A single-family residence at this point is not going to work, even though it is a good location. It's nice to have a cul-de-sac and nice to have on a dead end. In that respect, but to invest any more money at this time, I think that. And you talk about maybe other contractor developers that maybe left somebody hanging. We've been here 40 years, and I don't think we left anybody hanging, and we've done more of our share to improve this village than most. So, I think that the little bit of cracking at the end of that street, and again, that first 135 feet on both sides I don't own, and the one side will be developed and utilized by somebody else at some point.
Mhm.
So the little bit of cracking isn't any more than what's on Lawrence Avenue now, because I went up there specifically and looked it over.
Yeah. Well, you bring up a good point, because when we were looking at it, Lawrence Avenue in time is gonna have to be done at some point in time, and then you just blend it in with that portion of Medina, I would imagine. So I agree with you on that, and I went up to see it, and it's no different than what's on Lawrence Avenue currently.
Yep.
So. Anyone else? And this is just for the public hearing, actually, so.
Yeah, I make a motion to, have a public hearing scheduled for, what is the next,
November
November
18th.
18th?
Yep.
At 5:30?
Second.
Second.
Ms. Allen? Okay. Ms. Wilson?
Aye?
Mr. Alto?
Aye.
Mr. Cardinal?
Yeah.
Mr. Chase?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Okay, thank you for that. Closing under, where are we?
What
Closing
does
under-
POB mean? Point of boundary?
I'm sorry?
What POB on the engineering print?
Point of ball.
Point of beginning.
Point of beginning. Thank you.
Okay, closing under 5, open under new business. A, proposed resolution to accept the professional engineering services for Zangrelli, engineering for structural evaluation at the fire station to the concrete floor underneath the old portion of the bays in the amount of $1,900,
Not to exceed.
not to exceed, excuse me. You want to speak on this a little bit, Haas, too, or,
Sure, I can,
Yeah.
absolutely. At the, obviously, the floor over at the firehouse, the old section of the firehouse is having problems. It's, we're losing some concrete on the bottom portion of it, where it's landing in the lower level. So, what I ended up doing, is I reached out to a local engineering firm to request some assistance, and C2AE, and they don't do that because it's a specialized field that they're in, that this component has to deal with. So they forwarded me to Zangrelli, who they use, and they're out of the Albany area, I believe. Zangrelli gave us a proposal, they sent that up last week, I think it was, and hence I forwarded it to the board here. Now, in doing so, I was also requested to reach out to a different individual that worked for Atlantic Testing to see if they also offer that service, the structural engineering element of it. So I did. The individual was not present when I called. We're playing phone tag, I guess I should say. I wasn't at work today, but come tomorrow I will reach out to him again. But nonetheless, that structure requires, when we did the initial assessment back a number of years ago, it was, at that point, it was stated that that has over-yielded. The structure itself is over-yield, which it's overstressed. So one of the criteria was, you put the lightweight vehicles in that section of it. But nothing was done after that. It wasn't reinforced, or it was just let go. So anyway, it's not gonna get any better if we don't do something about it. Zangrelli or another third party might be the answer to help us out in this regard.
if anyone hasn't been down there, it's a good sized chunk of concrete that fell inside the wall portion of the what do you want to call it? The hall. So it's got to be fixed quick.
Did he give you an indication, House, on when he can do it?
He
I didn't write, it might have been in your original email.
I don't recall seeing that, but I would certainly like to reach out to that individual from Atlantic Testing to see. But again, what you're end up doing is having to pay for travel costs from Albany. This other individual that I'm reaching out to from Atlantic Testing is located in Rochester.
So it's 50/50.
Yeah.
more than anything, I was worried about, or thinking about the timing and how
Yeah.
quickly we get somebody to look at it, because if there is something that needs to be done, then you gotta put that in the queue to get it remedied, so.
And I think we'll have time to do that, Trish, to get them up here before we have an ultimate collapse or failure over there.
Oh, sure, yeah.
What's the plan of action in place right now? I mean, is nothing being parked there now since this collapse? or-
We still have the lightweight vehicles, we transferred the lightweight vehicles over there, the lightest vehicles that they have, is located.
Yeah, we put 5 trucks where there's supposed to be 4 in the new bay, so there's only 1 in the old bay.
Deterioration, salt, stuff like that?
Absolutely,
Yeah, yeah,
absolutely.
You'll see the, over the years.
Yeah, there's reports from,
It seeps
what,
in.
1990 and those, yeah,
Yeah.
it's been a continuing problem, so. I would make a motion to approve the.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? No, it's no resolution. Yeah, it is a resolution. Is, Ms. Johnson? Ms. Wilson?
I vote aye.
Mr. Alfeld?
Yes.
Mr. Carver? Mr. DeShades? Chair votes aye. Okay, thank you on that. Okay, closing under A, open under B, award the bids for the surplus sale, rebidding. Got a
Three
no-brainer
pieces
here.
of
We got,
equipment,
yeah.
so moved.
Second?
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Closing under B, open under C, authorized purchase of equipment for DPW plow in the amount of $4,277.82.
So moved.
Where did the 82 cents come from? Where are we getting that?
Round up, round down.
That was,
Is that the state again?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, here's a tough one right here. We have in our packets under D, the retirement of Chief Tim Courier from the Police Department, effective November 28, 2014.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries with reluctance. You've done a good job, Chief. Thank you. Great years of service. Big shoes to follow. Okay, under D, closing, open under 6, voucher warrants.
I move that the vouchers signed by trustee Carl and myself be approved.
All in favor?
Aye?
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Closing under 6, open under 7, monthly reports. There you go. Closing under 7, open under 8, communications correspondence. Closing under 8, open under 9, closing public comment period. Any hands? Closing public comment period. 1, 2, 3. Closing under 9, open under 10, adjournment.
I've got a need for an executive session to discuss personnel and Chief Courier's thing.
Okay.
Second?
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
No action taken.
No action. Thank you all for coming.
thank you.
No.
May or may not know the answer to this question, so probably
Good luck. Oh, thank you. Get all smart. Did you?
Yeah, just let me know.
Well, they do.
There's garbage up there, I see.